If there were one quality about God that He would want each of us to know and value, it would be love. Love was actually the principal theme of the Welsh Revival of 1904. Not surprising. God not only radiates love, He is love. It's His essence. Therefore, loving relationships have premier importance to Him. First, in the restoration of His relationship with us, and then in our relationship with one another. Eventually, we will see it is impossible to have a healthier relationship with others than we have with God. When we know God's heart, His love overflows to everyone around us. Healing relationships is actually the very reason Jesus died, and why He lives to restore what has been lost, why He longs to heal what has been hurt, and why He died to liberate all that is bound. Relationships are the centerpiece of the greatest battles that have taken place in heaven and now come to earth. They are the ground zero of spiritual warfare. Their face is human, natural, but their roots are supernatural. The devil attacks who God is, love. Broken relationships are therefore the breeding ground for division, and division is the biggest kingdom killer. Jesus said, "Any house divided cannot stand," as heaven was torn apart by a breach in the angelic host. Adam and Eve's sin has likewise spread the epidemic throughout the earth. It is these relational breaches that break God's heart and keep us from fulfilling the prayer of Jesus. May they experience such perfect unity that the world will know that you sent me and that you love them as much as you love me. As all moves of God require great unity of spirit, every assault of the enemy seeks to separate and even alienate us from one another. One of the first controversies related to the Welsh Revival was that God used young women, particularly in music and testimony. Many were not ready for women to have such a strategic role. Also, within a few months of the start of the revival, a successful minister named Peter Price began to criticize Evan Roberts for the emotion the revival meetings seemed to at times generate. While many believe there was a measure of truth in Price's comments, they likewise agreed he seemed to have been jealous as well. These critiques were so disconcerting to Evan Roberts that he soon withdrew from attending public meetings altogether. Physically and emotionally, he was completely exhausted. Breaking down, he went into obscurity and would only resurface for a short period of time, some 20 years later. To what extent this relational breach affected his spiritual and emotional well-being, God only knows. But it appears division tore at the very fabric of this revival. Less than a year after Evan Roberts withdrew from public ministry in Wales, the Azusa Street outpouring in Los Angeles began, as God chose a former coal miner with no formal education to spearhead the Welsh Revival of 1904. He likewise chose the son of a former slave, William Seymour, to light the spark for the Azusa Street Revival in Los Angeles, California in 1906. The Azusa meetings began with a great diversity of African American, Hispanics, and whites in attendance. This occurred even though Seymour's mentor, Charles Parham, mistakenly believed in segregating the races. In time, the issue of racial separation would become a divisive issue between Seymour and Parham. Yet in spite of their disagreement, the revival spread around the world. 600 million Christ followers now trace their roots to what has been called the Pentecostal outpouring. Both the Welsh and Azusa revivals overcame the hurdles of gender and race, but were not limited by the economic and educational backgrounds of their leaders, proving once again that God has chosen the weak things of this world to shame the things which are strong. What if relational divisions are the primary reason God is unable to move powerfully in our lives, the church, and in the culture? Could our indifference to heal every breakdown in relationships, every breach between races and people groups, and every division between genuine followers of Jesus be the very thing that's keeping him from coming in transforming power?